Hi, welcome to this video. So in here, I would like to address one particular case, which is file management. So I've been insisting on this problem because it is very important for you as a software developer to understand your file system, because all the time what you'll be doing is creating files and folders. Your code is organized or is going to be organized within files and folders. So it is very important that you understand that concept and you become comfortable with that concept before we even begin. And also, while I am teaching, I will be saying some things like create a folder or create a folder and name it like this, and in that folder create this file and so. And I might even also just give you the URL of a file without telling you that you have to create the folder. Meanwhile, you need to create these folders. So it is very important that you understand this language. So in order to do that, for those of us who have not been used to these things yet, let's go through and try to explain what it is and how to go about it. And also, I would like to add that for people who have just purchased computers for the first time and who have not had enough time using computers and are not yet too used to it, and I will advise you to learn how to use your keyboard very well. It is very important that you understand your keyboard. You find your way around your keyboard. You should be able to kind of type what you want, right? Even if it is not too fast, for now, you should be able to type some things. It is very important. And the best way to do that, you will also see that through the bootcamp, is to do a lot of practice. Believe me, if you can practice 2-3 days, you yourself, you see the difference, right? So it is very important to type. So open any text editor, get some book and try to type a page per day, and you see quickly you get used to it. So now let's move on to our file system. And so I'm actually going to focus on Windows operating system here. If you are on Linux or you are using Mac or Apple devices, that is not necessarily going to be the same, but there are a lot of similarities in that. And if you find yourself in any of these cases, please kindly let me know and we'll see what to do about that. So now let's go about Windows. So Windows system comes with what we call the file manager. And the reason we have a file manager is this. Your computer comes with an internal storage. Let's assume the internal storage looks like something like this. So let me make it like a bow, right? So internal storage looks, this is not nice. So let me find something better. Good. Okay, so let me leave the cover. So let's assume this. So your computer comes with an internal storage called the hard drive, or HD, or it might be SSD. It is all storage. That's what matters. So, and that storage is actually meant to help you keep whatever you do on your computer so that you can come back and find it. So as you are working on the computer, what you do is just to throw things inside that drive. So you throw the things inside one by one, and as time goes, you end up having pieces of stuff like this inside. So when we deal with things like containers like this, there is a principle that automatically gets born, which is organization. So it is important to have a way of organizing all this whole mess, right? So in that case, let's redraw it here again. We could decide that, okay, we'll partition or we'll divide the hard drive into partitions. So for example, we can divide it into two partitions, one for our family documents and pictures, and the other one for our work. Or we could decide, okay, for the family pictures, and so we could divide it into two, the down one for the parents and the up one for the kids, and so on. We can also go ahead and divide the one on top for the first kid and the second kid. So this goes on with hard drives. We actually partition them, we tier them, we organize things in small partitions in order to be able to find our way. So Windows actually comes in with a feature, a tool, or an application which allows us to do this organization, because we don't see the actual hard drive. So the only way we can do this is to interact with the hard drive virtually with an application. And that application on Windows PCs is called the File Explorer. So to see the File Explorer, you can press the Windows button, then type File, and you will see that it will suggest you the File Explorer, or you can write it in full, File Explorer. You should see the File Explorer. Otherwise, if you are already on your PC's desktop, or most of us go to view, let me see, show desktop icons. So you might see the icons on your desktop like this, and you can see the File Explorer is this envelope, this yellow envelope. So these are File Explorer instances or copies. So any of them you open, it will still show the File Explorer. So I am going to hide my desktop icons back. So align show desktop icon, so it goes. So that's the File Explorer. So sometimes too you can have it pinned down here. If it is not pinned, the easiest way is to type the Windows button and then type File Explorer. So you open the File Explorer. Depending on how you use your computer, you might have it position you on your recent files and folders you worked on, or it might be on your home directory, or it might be on your desktop directory. That might change from one PC to another, but what matters is you'll be located somewhere. So now, how does the File Explorer work? So the File Explorer starts with something which is a starting point. There is a starting point. So it divided the hard drive into one, the whole drive, like, so this is the whole drive. And then it called that whole drive my PC or your PC. So it is my PC or PC. So the PC represents the whole drive. And then it goes down to it and it divides it into another partition, like in our case here. So if you go back to the Explorer, you can see here how it is divided. So you have this PC rather, so not my PC, this PC. And then you can see this PC is now subdivided into two portions, just like our drawing. So the first portion, named Windows in brackets C colon, or generally called the C partition, So in our case, we could name this the C partition. And then the other part, which is called, in my case, Lenovo. It might be your computer's brand name or any name you give to it, but might maybe have the name D as well. So the D partition, like this. This D doesn't come, right? So the D partition. And then under the C partition, we can have more other files. All these ones you see up here are just shortcuts. They all exist under these two subfolders, which is the Windows C and the Windows D or Lenovo D. So they are all shortcuts. So how it works is, if you click on any of the folders here, the content will display at the right side. So the left side gives you a panel, an access panel, and then the right side gives you the content of whatever folder you are on. And folders in general, we also call them locations. So if we say locate yourself in this folder, we are actually trying to say move from folder to folder to exactly this particular folder or that particular folder. So in our case, for example, I usually put my project in a folder called Laragon. So if I want to go there, I can just tap on Laragon. And here you can see that Laragon is a subfolder under the C, right? So this basically means if you have the C here, under the C I have my Laragon here, and then so many other files and folders also come under the C. And the same thing goes with the D. So if you take the D, so we have many other files and folders that also come under it. And that's how Windows structures your hard drive for you. So you can go in any of these places, of course, except where the computer, the operating system files are located. But you can go in most cases, create your own files and folders, and then create sub files and folders and so on. And as you do that, the File Explorer has this address bar here on top, which gives you the exact location of where you are. So here you can see that it tells me I'm in the PC. Under the PC, I am inside Windows, and then under the Windows, I am inside the Laragon folder, and so on. So it is very important to understand this architecture. So all the files you see here, like I said earlier, are all shortcuts. If you don't believe me, let's look at it. Here you can see desktop, downloads, documents, pictures, and so. So to see these ones, we go inside the C partition. So we go into users, and when I click on users, you can see it shows me the content. So if I don't want to view it here, I can just click this arrow to fold and unfold it here. So here we'll go to the user hello. That's my username here on the PC. So let me click on the user hello to see the content at the right side. And here you can see the desktop, the document, download, and so on inside this hello. So it's the same thing. And because I've been accessing these files and folders most often, so Windows brings them up for me to be able to easily access them as shortcuts. And there are some special folders that you usually see on your desktop. These are the desktop folder, which is the default folder Windows shows you once you start your PC. So your starting screen you see when you start your PC is actually your desktop folder. So the folder called desktop, Windows actually takes you to that folder and kind of decorates it and shows you the shortcuts that will allow you to access many other folders from there. This is a very interesting and fun. So your desktop is just a folder with beauty. So these are very important folders on Windows that you can have as shortcuts: the download folder, the documents folder, pictures folder, because Windows assumes we use them for our daily activities, and therefore we might want to organize them in these kind of categories. We do download a lot online, so we need a storage for download so that we know a section, we need a section rather for the downloads, so that we know that okay, this is where we put the stuff we download. We need a section for our pictures. For our lovely pictures, we need to organize them there so that whenever we think about viewing our pictures, we just go to that location. And same thing goes with the music and videos folders. But that does not force you to store your music or videos in these particular folders by force, tautology. But you can always go to a different location and decide to store your documents or videos or music anywhere you want. So that being said, let's move on to the next thing, which is another important thing, which is creating these folders and these files we see there. So let me go to my desktop here. To create folders, there are many ways of doing that. If you are on Windows versions that are prior to version 11, the File Explorer's window might look different, but you see some similarities, particularly the new button we see here. On other screens, on other versions of Windows, you have a large panel with so many other options. So let me see. So this will give you, let me see if I can also bring it there. These are views. So here I am using Windows 11, so it has been kind of shrinked. So we have less options, but they are all the same things. But the most important thing is this new thing on Windows 10 and below. I think this new thing is located somewhere here in a tab, and it also has the option of creating new files. But here, Windows has summarized the whole thing inside this button called New. So whenever you click on the button New, you have the choice of creating a folder. And when you choose to create a folder, that folder will be created at the exact location where you are. Remember, location. We are talking about a folder. So here, if you look at the address bar in the File Explorer, it shows that I am located in the desktop. So from here, if I click on New Folder, it is going to create that folder in the desktop. So it is very important to pay attention to that. It's not everywhere. You should always know where you are located and know what you are doing at that particular location, right? So let me delete this one. So I'll go back again, New, and then say Folder. And then it will bring the folder. And when it brings the folder, you see it brings it with that orange envelope icon. All the orange envelope icons you see are actual folders. And folders are simply like the folders we use to send our files to ministries and directors. So a folder is a document, it's a paper document, a hard copy, a hard carton in which you put more stuff inside. The actual files inside, which is your CV, your application letter, your memo, and so on. All this stuff go in. So a folder is actually a container. It's something that can contain some other things. So once you have the folder created, you have the option of giving it a name, and it will highlight it for you to change the name. So if I change it, I say testing. That's the name. Once you write the name, you can click away somewhere in any empty space and the name will be applied. Or you can decide, once you change the name, to type the enter key on your keyboard, enter, and then it will apply the changes. If you want to change the folder name, all you have to do, one, is to click on it once, and then it will bring some blue around it, and this is what we call highlighting the folder. So the folder will be highlighted. Once highlighted, you can now click on it again, and then it now gives you the option of typing a new name or make the corrections in the name. And once you are done making your corrections, you can go ahead again and press enter, or just click away in any empty space, and that will be applied. So that's it with the folders. You also have an option here which says the view. This view option allows you to kind of decide of how the content of your folders should be displayed. So we have this option activated right now, which is details, and that's the view you have. You have my files listed, their date of modification, their type and sizes. And if I go to view and change it into list, you see it changes. It is a bit simpler. If I go into small icons, you see it changes, and so on. So depending on your taste on how you want your folder contents to be laid out for you, then you can change these views from time to time, and you can choose large icons and so basically that's it with the folders. There is a lot to do, but it is very important that you keep in mind the locations. The parent location is this PC. At this PC location, you can't create anything because that is reserved to Windows itself. Then Windows at this location creates two sub locations, or at least one location called C, or local disk C, or Windows C, depending on the name. You have that portion called a partition, or you might have many partitions depending on how your PC is organized. You can go inside these partitions now and start entering or creating your own folders and files. So talking about files, this is the time for us to look at the files. We just created a folder called testing. So I will open the folder, listen to the language, I will open the folder, or I will go inside the folder. And how do we go inside the folder? You can do right click on the folder. So you place your mouse on the folder, you do the right click of your mouse, then you click on open. And in front of this button open, you can see a word enter, which means it is your actual keyboard button called enter. So you could also click on it as it is now, and then you press the keyboard key enter and it will open it. So the opening, you can do right click on them, you position the cursor on the folder, you do right click, then you click on open, or you can click on the folder once and type enter on your keyboard, and this opens this folder. And now you can see our location change. Now it tells us we are in C. Under C we are in users, and we are in user hello, called hello, and we are in the desktop location of that user, and inside that desktop we are in a folder called testing. And inside this folder we can see there's nothing, and you can keep on going, creating more folders. Let's see another folder, right? So, and then I will change the name into what I want, another, and so on. But earlier I said that we use folders to keep files like our CVs. So if we assume I want to create a CV right now, what do? I will need to create the CV file inside this folder. So we'll go back again to the new button, and remember this might be in a different location depending on your operating system right now, but make sure you find this new. And I would like to underline to that if you can't find it on the Explorer's window, you can place your mouse on any empty space wherever you are and do the right click. You will still get this same menu there, right? So you see the new button here, which gives you more options. So the same options we get when we click on the new on top here, right? So to create a file, let's say our CV, I will go back to the new button again, or I will do right click on any empty space in my folder, and then I will move to the new button, follow the sub menu that shows, and by the way, this is called a contextual menu. So I can now click on Microsoft Word document. So you see, it gives me the chance of typing my CV's name. I can type CV, and that's it. So this file now, if I open it, it will open it with Microsoft Word. So in my case, I'm using LibreOffice. It's just like Microsoft Word, right? And I can now be free to type my CV inside this file, right? So basically, that's how you can create files and folders. Now there's something very important about files that I've been underlining all this while, which is the files extensions. Here, how did that happen that when I created this file, of course, I chose, let's say when I went to new, I chose Microsoft Word document. But what if I chose text document here and then I name it CV? Is that going to make it a CV? You can see the icons of the files are different. Let me change the view and make them extra large. You can see their icons are different. So there's something that differentiates them. So there's a difference between the files. And that difference is what we call the extensions. And the extensions are usually short words, or short a group of letters at the end of every file's name. So if we take a file like CV, for example, which I just created right now, there must be something after it, that name, that determines its type. And that's why we see their icons are different. So if I create another file, let's assume I go to file and then I choose, let's say, Microsoft PowerPoint, and I say presentation. You will see the icon is also different. So there's something that differentiates the files, and that is their icons, their extensions, sorry. So the extension in the case of Microsoft of Microsoft Word document is docx. In the case of this text file, the extension is .txt. We, in our case, what we are going to do is to create websites or web applications. We will be working with a different type of files called .html files. So .html, We'll also be working with .css files, and we'll be also working with .js files for JavaScript. So how do we go about that? Because if we look at the contextual menu here, when we go to new and so, we don't see the option create .html file, create .css file, create .javascript file. What do we do? So in that case, we'll have to get a way of changing this something by ourselves. And by default, Windows does not allow you to see that something. And that's what we call Windows hides the extensions of your files by default. So as a developer, one of the first things you need to do when you acquire a new computer is to make sure these extensions are visible so that you can easily change them. So I've shared with you guys some articles explaining how to go about that. Right now I'm on Windows 11. If you want to do that, you can go on this dot button, yeah, and go on options. In the options, you can click on the view. So there's view tab here, and in the tab, you can locate a section called hide hidden files and folders. Here you can see hide empty drives. Yes, we want that. Hide extensions for known file types. So you can see it is ticked. This is marked as yes, you should hide them. If we untick it and then we click on OK, you see now it shows us the extensions very well. We can decide to change it by doing the way we do to edit the file name. So you click on it once and then you click on it again, and then you can now decide to change this .txt into .html. And by saying that, Windows will warn you you are doing something a bit dangerous. Say yes, that is fine. I am conscious of what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I want it to change. And now this changes. And by changing it into .html, you see it considers my browser as the default application to open it. And these are a few things too you need to know about the file extension. I mentioned that they determine the type of the file, but also the extension allows us to know which software created the file or which software can be used to open the file. So that is it with the files and right now. And the other option too, there's another option on Windows 11. If you go to your settings, right, you go to your settings and you search for developer, or search for file extensions, search for extensions like this, and you will see show file extensions in File Explorer, and you can see the option here. So it is under system for developers, and you can see it is meant for developers. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. You are not doing anything dangerous. So show file extensions, you can enable it or disable it easily without having to go through the File Explorer. So you can see as I'm toggling it here, as I'm toggling it, you see it goes, it comes, it goes, it comes. If you are on Linux operating system, particularly when Ubuntu, you can press Ctrl H to do this same game by hiding and showing the extensions easily. So these people don't suffer from this problem as we do on Windows. So basically that's it. That's what I want you to know before we start this bootcamp. I want you to go through this, practice this, creating files and folders in various locations. Get some text, type on your keyboard to get used to typing on your keyboard, because you'll be typing a lot of text. The code is a text. The code is text. So it is very important that you know where to enter this and that to get this and that. especially know how to enter the less than sign, right? The less than sign, the greater than sign, exclamation mark, right? Probably semicolon. And so you need to know how to get these characters on your keyboard. And to close this, I think I might want to add something. So yes, for those who are going to use text editors to create these files and folders, it is still possible. So if we assume we are on Notepad like this, like we did earlier. So if you are on Notepad, you can decide to create a file from here, and then when you are saving it by going to File, you do Save. Then you can choose the file's name and its extension here, right here. So all this we did from File Explorer can also be done from a particular software. And remember, I just said the extensions also allow us to know what software created the file. So from a software, you can also create the files and folders. If we take other text editors like my Sublime Text here, when we open the text editor, we can see that we have a tree of folders here. So we can also decide to create a folder here if we wish by going to File, New, File, you see, Open Folder or Recent Folder, and so on. So you can do these same operations from here. And if you are also already working on a project folder like this, you can do right click on the folder and add new folders, and so you can see new folder here and new files here. That can still be done from any text editor. So that's what I wanted you to look at before we move forward. Thank you so much, and stick around. The actual show is coming. This is just the introduction. Thank you so much, and see you again.